West Denver. Sleep deprived and heavily caffeinated.
All right, let's do this then.
This is the Jeff and Bill Show.
I don't agree with that.
They don't always agree, but hey, at least they have coffee.
Coffee.
And each other.
I love you, man.
God help us.
I want to bless him. We need all the help we can get.
Now here's Jeff Hunt and Bill Thorpe. The Jeff and Bill Show on News Talk 710 KNUS.
7 a.m. in the Mile High City on this Wednesday, October 15th, 2025. Good morning, Denver, Colorado. You've tuned in to the Jeff and Bill Show. News Talk 710 KNUS. Bill's out this week. He'll be back next week. I actually got a call from somebody yesterday going, did something happen to Bill? Did Salem make a change with Bill? No, Bill's enjoying some time with family. He'll be back Monday, and we'll kick off all those crazy yelling, shouting debates that normally happen on the Jeff and Bill Show. But I said, let's have some fun this week. It's kind of like mom and dad are away. The kids are going to play. So we're going to have fun with co-hosts. Monday, Ted Trimpa, who, yes, you can blame for the entire blue takeover of Colorado. He was the brain behind it all. Tuesday, we had a card-carrying member of the Democrat Socialists of America, Deep Singh Badesha. He did a great job, and the debates were so feisty yesterday. They were great, made for great, really fun radio. And then today, she's an institution unto herself. If you grew up in Denver, you remember Westword, or you probably snuck Westword into your house because it was a little edgy. And she is the founder of it. She's the editor-in-chief. She joins us live today as our co-host. Thank you, Patricia, for joining us.
My pleasure.
Let's go to the phone lines. By the way, feel free to give us a call if you like, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Johnny, Denver. Good morning, Johnny. You're on with Jeff and Patricia.
Anyway, good morning. I've enjoyed this week. It's been pretty interesting.
That's a good description.
Yeah. I manage bands, and I work for the nonprofit. I do disabled artists that you have visible and invisible disabilities. And so now I'm managing this young 24-year-old guy. He's doing R&B, but he's doing tracks, which to me, I'm old school. That's kind of strange. Why not get a band and all that kind of stuff? But I understand that stuff. In Westword, when you cover like the I guess hip hop R&B thing with the tracks and the artists singing to the tracks without taking out the lead vocals, which drives me up the wall, and you cover like the bands, is there becoming more of these alternative hip hop groups with the tracks getting out there more and having their shows promoted more on Westword, or how are you finding the balance of real band compared to electronic produced tracks bands and artists?
Well, it's so interesting. Part of it with live bands is, where do you go to play? When you talk about restaurants, where do you go to eat? What venues are still around who will encourage new bands? It's hard to play. You can't get around how exciting it is to be around an audience. But we write about a lot of the musicians who are doing it on their own, doing tracks. In fact, today, we put it up today or we put it up yesterday. I can't remember. But if you know DNA Picasso, who is hip-hop rapper, and he is doing great things to push the local music scene. He just has a new album out today that we wrote about, and he's a very great local guy. He's fun to talk to. He's doing a lot for the scene, but the hip-hop scene's growing, and it's growing in all kinds of different directions.
Yeah, like in 2006, it was kind of funny. We had a coffee house downtown, and we would invite hip-hop groups to come in. And the cops had a problem with us having hip-hop groups, but we never had any problems because just the way we brought in the bands. We had grunge rock downstairs, hip-hop upstairs, but we got raided one time because they just didn't like us bringing in hip-hop groups because of the reputation or whatever. But I would hope that's changing now, but you wouldn't know a lot about that because you're on the other side of it. But as a person that did the stuff, it's very interesting from then till now.
Where was your place? Remember when Cold Crush was?
Oh.
Yeah.
It was J.C. Grounds
Okay.
on Champa Street.
Okay. Yeah. No, I think it is getting better. I certainly think the police have been educated more about it. But, on Market Street, at Let Out, 18th, 19th, and Market, there are still problems. But I think the Denver cops have gotten a little better about dealing with when clubs let out. But a lot of those aren't hip-hop clubs.
Yes. All right. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Read that story about DNA Picasso.
All right. I will do so.
That's Johnny in Denver. Johnny, appreciate the call. Your phone line's open, or his line will be open at 303-696-1971, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Why shouldn't Mike Johnston just partner with the Trump administration, bring in the National Guard for 6 weeks, have them stand around like they did in D.C.? We saw the crime rates drop. Things got better. It wouldn't cost Denver a dime, right? So bring them in, make the city safe. You get all those Cherry Hills ladies coming down and enjoying the place.
Well, if the National Guard gave them a ride, I would say go talk to the D.C. restaurants, which disagree with the assessment. They say that it didn't go up. And on top of it, the National Guard didn't spend a lot of time in the higher crime neighborhoods in D.C. They were in areas where tourists would go, and those are definitely crimes of opportunity. But in the higher crime neighborhoods where maybe the lower income people live year-round and have no tourists visiting, there was not much National Guard action.
Yeah, but why? What does Mike have to lose? I mean, obviously progressives, I think, would go, wow, any partnership with Trump is terrible. But why not, as the mayor, you have a free resource that could lower crime and improve perceptions on the city? Why not partner?
I would say that the Denver Police Department probably wouldn't like it. I would say most Denver residents wouldn't like it. And from what we've seen, again, in D.C., in the core area, it didn't help. It
reduced crime.
Look at the stats again.
Yeah, I did look at the stat, but I mean, you had days without a murders taking place in Washington, D.C.
Well, Denver's homicide rate is down like almost 50%. So
they're okay.
I would say we don't need them. Now, I can also say my sister lives in Boston, works for the Senate there, and the National Guard's going in there, so we'll see how they like it. I'll get an eyewitness report.
I think Mike Johnston should take advantage of it, and it would set the tone for maybe a change that's happening in Denver. You would get leadership that would clearly want to make the city safer, send that message. Come on down to the city. Enjoy all the great things we have to do here. We're going to protect you. I mean, it wasn't but less than a year ago that the poor flight attendant on 16th Street ended up with her throat slit. Those are things that the mayor has to overcome. And having the National Guard is one way to send a very clear and strong message. We'd love to hear from you. Give us a call, 303-696-1971, or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. Now it's time for News and Comment with Blake Olson.
Blake Olson.
Blake Olson, News and Comment.
Hey, good Wednesday morning, 47 and clear. Of 80 today. News sponsored by Pastor Camp Heating and Air Conditioning at 303-777-1234 to learn more about special savings opportunities on Lennox equipment. Our top story, this could be big. We will see at 1 o'clock this afternoon in the Oval Office, DJT has a press briefing with FBI Director Kash Patel. There are only about 1 million things going on concerning the FBI. Stay tuned. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says Democrats are waiting for Saturday's lefty event, No King's Day, to reopen the government, but declares that our troops will be paid no matter what.
This crazy No Kings rally this weekend, which is going to be the farthest left, the hardest core, the most unhinged in the Democratic Party, which is, a big title. And, no kings equal no paychecks. We are paying our military today. The Pentagon went into surplus funds and will be able to make paychecks. And I think the other problem now is the mainstream media. If this were Republicans who'd shut down the government, there would have been screaming, there would have been examples of things going wrong. But because it's the Democrats, they're complicit.
Yep, and they vote again today for the 9th time. Harry Enton, CNN. Hey, how are things looking as far as redistricting, gains for the right and left?
But you go along in the different states, and basically Democrats run out of room where Republicans are able to gain and gain and gain. If both sides max out, we're probably looking at a GOP gain of +7 House seats. That doesn't even take into account the potential gutting of the VRA that is right now going to be in front of the Supreme Court. If you add that in, you could be looking... The Voting
Rights Act.
What? Yes, exactly right. The Voting Rights Act. If you add that in, then you could be looking about adding 10, 12, 15, 17 on top of this 7 seats. So I think a lot of folks like myself are looking at this. We're seeing, hey, wait a minute. Those national polls are Democrats are not gaining the way that we expected.
18-year-old Matthew Silverstone, who was injured in last month's shooting at Evergreen High School, has been released from the hospital. First responders and hospital personnel cheered Silverstone as he was rolled out of the facility in a stretcher. Silverstone confronted and fought with the suspect during the September 10th shooting, of course, and was wounded in the head and the chest. His heart stopped twice before he was stabilized at the hospital. So great news that he is out. Tuesday was an emotional day at the White House. DJT posthumously awarded Charlie Kirk the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Erica Kirk spoke as it was Charlie's birthday, and 47 talking about Charlie and Erica.
And I just want to thank you, Erica. He loved you so much. I was with him. Yeah, please. Thank you, darling. Thank you. I was with him before I met Erica, and he told me he was going to get married. He said, "You won't believe how beautiful she is." I said, well, then now that I meet her, he's right. But then he also said, and you know what? She's like the smartest person I know. See, they do go together on occasion, not often.
It was an emotional day at the White House, and it'll be another interesting afternoon and morning in D.C. Israel.
Blake, on that,
yes.
I was just scrolling through my Facebook memories, as you do sometimes. Like, Facebook for my wife and I has become a place where we just, like, it's become a journal of our lives, and to go back through the memories is kind of fun. I had made a little video wishing Charlie Kirk happy birthday 8 years ago from DIA when he was turning 24 years old.
Oh, wow.
Just saying, hey, bud, proud of all the work you're doing out there. And I just sat there reflecting on that last night, going, it's amazing where life takes you. I mean, 8 years ago, his career was up and coming. I was proud of him. I wanted to send a little video encouraging him. And then to watch him be honored at the White House, his wife, the impact he's had on this nation, just remarkable.
I mean, it's wild for me, and I didn't even know Charlie, but for you, I mean, it just has to be like, is this really happening? I mean, you have to pinch yourself.
Right.
It was only a month ago when it all happened. It's just...
Well, and this is what I tell my kids because they're up and coming in their careers. This was some of the best career advice ever given to me is when you graduate college, go to L.A., New York, or D.C. based upon what you want to do, and spend a few years just pouring your life into your work. Right? Go the 80-hour work week in finance, culture, politics, just because you're going to build friendships with people that go on to change the world. Everybody that's a major leader was a young kid somewhere just trying to figure it out. And when you build those friendships, to watch them like Benny Johnson, Matt Walsh. I was one of the first guys to put Matt Walsh up on the stage.
Is that right?
Isabel Brown won our speaking contest in 2017. She's gone on to do great things. Invest in young people. Invest in young people that are working hard because they're going to go change the world. And it's just so cool to watch. And to see the President of the United States give the Freedom Medal to Erica Kirk in honor of Charlie was just amazing yesterday.
No doubt.
Very cool.
Keep on praying for the family. I'll tell you what, when I saw Charlie's mom and dad, that's what crushed me on Tuesday. That was tough. That was really tough. Israel and Hamas have started talks on phase 2 of DJT's Gaza peace plan. The Wall Street Journal says mediators from both sides have returned to the negotiating table this morning to discuss the next phase of the 20-point plan, which calls for disarming Hamas, new security arrangements under the Arab-led force, and post-war governance in Gaza. Let's hope it all happens. Avs at the Blue Jackets tomorrow at 5 o'clock. NBA preseason Nuggets over the Bulls 124-117 last night. Dodgers beat the Brew Crew 5-1 and lead the NLCS 2-0. 43 in Boulder, 46 in Englewood, 47 in Denver. Jeff and Billy continue, and Patty is in for Bill. And hey, a little hip-hop talk in downtown Denver. I loved it. That was pretty cool. Blake Olson, News Talk 710 KNUS.
Your 710 5-day forecast, clear and starry skies starting off our Wednesday. Lows tonight will be in the upper 40s. With sunshine Wednesday afternoon, we'll hit the upper 70s with breezy winds. Some increasing clouds Wednesday night might have a slight chance for a shower. Lows going to be upper 40s. Thursday going to be cooling off, low to mid-60s. Scattered showers and a few thunderstorms. Sunshine returns Friday and Saturday. Highs mid-60s, lows low 40s. Meteorologist Don Watzel in the 710 KNUS Weather Center.
Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Bill's out this week. Patricia Calhoun, founder and editor of Westword, sitting in and co-hosting with me today. Text messages coming in. People, so you have this tremendous institutional knowledge on the city of Denver. Gabe wants to know, whatever happened to the Mercury Cafe?
Oh, I can do that story. So the Mercury Cafe is an institution, 50 years. Got its start up in Indian Hills as in 1975 as kind of a hippie cafe. Moved down to Denver, went through, if you've been there, several incarnations. But the constant was Marilyn McGannity. Wonderful, wonderful woman who moved the Mercury Cafe from 13th to Broadway to finally a space at 2199 California Street that she bought 25 years ago. And she bought it. It was such an institution. You would have weddings there. You would have funerals there. It was the go-to when people didn't know where to go. Concerts, poetry readings, political action. She finally wanted to retire and did sell it in 2021, 2022, I think. And the new incarnation didn't work as well without Marilyn there. But just in March, a new group took it over. They did have to rename it. It's now named The Pearl, but they are doing many of the kinds of events Marilyn hosted at the Mercury. So it is going strong. It is a landmark in downtown Denver.
You're like a savant of Denver knowledge. You guys got to take advantage of this and text in. If you ever had any obscure question about something that's happened in Denver, I guarantee you that Patricia Calhoun probably knows what happened with that. So text us in on the Dan Caplis Law text line, 720-819-5115. I want to ask you about the changing landscape for Colorado media. You're right in the middle of it. I grew up with Rocky Mountain News and Denver Post. I think it was sad to see the Rocky Mountain News go. I don't find the Denver Post compelling or all that interesting. Even its opinion pieces, it just kind of falls flat. I bring that up because I've watched, for instance, the rise of the free press, which seems to be very interesting and compelling, and I became a subscriber to them. So I know that media can do it well and do it right and bring in an audience. I'm also intrigued on where you think broadcast television is going to go. We have 4, 7, 9, 6, 2, 31. And then we can maybe talk about radio too. But tell me how you think things are changing in media. You've got Do Better Denver now that's providing that content. How do you piece it all together in your mind?
Well, piece it together is a good way to talk about it, because when we started Westword, and we were a free newspaper, still are, free was like a bad word. You had to pay for your news. So you had to buy one of the 2 daily papers, the Denver Post or the Rocky Mountain News, and they were huge. The difference, of course, was network television. You could watch for free, but that was the government, enabled that. So you paid for it. And we just, alt weeklies grew out in the late 70s, early 80s as an alternative to the big fat dailies. Well, there are no big fat dailies anymore. The Post is a shadow of its former self. The staff is maybe 1/5 of what the size it was in its heyday. I mean, under 100 people. They used to have a newsroom of over 300. It's owned by hedge fund people that are just wringing every cent out of it. Journalism isn't easy. I mean, it's not cheap. You've got to get out and have reporters who can spend time doing things, and that takes a lot of advertising, or a lot of subscriptions, or a billionaire owner like Phil Anschutz, who's funding the Denver Gazette. And the Denver Gazette does a lot of good stories too. But if you really want news around Denver, you piece it together from a lot of sources. Westword really isn't an alternative to anything anymore. It's its own thing. And let me do our own plug. We're still free, but we're mostly online. We put 15 news stories up a day. When you pick up the free paper, which we love that we can put out, you're only getting a fraction of the stories we do every week, but they're always going to be free.
How do you choose what you're going to cover? Does that come through you as the editor-in-chief?
Well, I have 4 other editors. So I have a music editor, I have a food editor, I have a news editor, I have a culture editor. So we all work together on what's important. They put up, say, 3 stories in their areas every day, and then we decide what's going to be in print, and that's a different kind of thinking, which is what is still going to work 2 weeks from now. So the paper we put out today has a cover story about Waymo, the driver, the driverless cars,
and the challenges in the snow coming.
They've never really had them in the snow, so that's going to be fascinating. But that's a story we know will still be relevant in 2 weeks. A lot of breaking news, you can't print it. By the time
amazing how fast
it's off
that
the
goes.
press, it's over.
By the way, have you been in a Waymo?
I have not. I've come close.
Are you nervous?
No, I'm not, because I get on the highway. I mean, I'm not going to be nervous in a Waymo compared to most Denver drivers.
Yeah. I got in when we were in Scottsdale, and I just grabbed the kids and I said, "Let's go grab some ice cream. Let's just get in one and see what it's like." I loved it. I would 100% grab one of those, because even though it goes slower, right, and your commute time's going to be a little bit longer, it's so relaxing.
Well, it's fascinating thinking how they get trained. When you think about technology, so I was just in Scottsdale at a nephew's wedding, and another nephew got stuck in a Waymo. He loves Waymos, but he was in a Waymo, and it was behind like a flatbed truck that had barn dancers on it. And the Waymo couldn't figure out what the square dancing truck was out of it. So it was just kind of behind it, didn't know whether to pass it, didn't know what to do. They finally just bailed on the Waymo.
Yeah. Well, and I've heard people sometimes gotten trapped and unable to get out of them too. But I definitely think that that's the future. But going back to media, how have you guys integrated social? You have a huge following on Instagram.
Right. Social is huge because people are just looking really fast. And you hope, and I've talked about context, stories are involved. They're complicated. You want people to know what it means. That's really hard to do in an Instagram post. So we put up a lot of our stories, not all of them, but on Instagram. But you're just getting a taste of it. And you hope they go and read the whole thing. But they might just get the headlines.
Where does Westword go? We'd love for you to live forever, but we know that won't happen. Have you thought through what Westword is going to do in the future?
Well, we've evolved a lot over the years, obviously, from just a big free paper. Well, let's say a little free paper to a big free paper to now a littler free paper again with a huge presence on social media and online. And that part will grow. The digital part will grow. The social media part will grow. We'll probably do more video, more on-site reporting with social media, because you've got things you couldn't do before when we just had dead trees and a big lag time to get the paper out. So that's where we'll go. But we want people, we know a lot about this city and we want to share it. And I'm talking about the whole metro area. We can't do every story, but when we do a story, we hope by the end of it, readers really understand what's going on.
Do you own it 100%?
No, we have a whole partnership.
Oh, you do have partnerships.
We have 3 other papers in our group
Really? What are those?
Phoenix, Miami, and Dallas. And they've all kind of grew up like Westword as alternative newspapers that then wound up selling to the company we have.
And who else co-owns it with you?
Well, so mostly it's our publisher in Denver who's the CEO and worked out this whole plan to buy these.
Wow.
From the group that I actually sold Westword to back in '83 and stayed.
So
because you can't do business, you cannot do both business and editorial. It's impossible.
So you founded it, you sold it in '83 to another publishing group
that had started a paper in Phoenix. There are many different things that have happened in the alternative newspaper press, just like the way it's happened in major media. But let me do a plug for November 6th. We're having a program at the Denver Press Club on alternative newspapers in Colorado. So it's not just Westword, but the Boulder Weekly, Colorado Springs Independent.
Yeah.
There was the Rocky Mountain Bullhorn up in Fort Collins. There were a lot in the early 70s that are long gone, but we're going to talk about those.
What do you think is going to happen to broadcast television?
Well, as we see, the days of the big anchor stars are gone. You are not going to get those, especially locally, when you think about how well you knew anchors. Yeah. So jobs are they're getting smaller. You see the amalgamation of the ownership. I mean, the whole deal now with Fox is going to wind up, the Fox channel here is going to wind up owning Channel 9. It's consolidation, fewer jobs, fewer reporters. So that's worrisome. But you also see an explosion in more independent media. Right. So you've got podcasts, and you've got radio broadcasts, and you've got websites, and there's so many ways to get information. It's how to really get all the information you need and how to fact check it.
That's the key. We used to have editors, and that was their job, and you could put trust in them. Now everybody has to self-serve as an editor, and sometimes you get the information wrong. I mean, I'll retweet something, and then X notifies me that it's been community noted, and you need to go back and go, oh, I guess that wasn't right. Something about the T-shirt of the shooter up in Michigan or something like that had been AI edited. So why talk to us about this dynamic that we're in now where the consumer is the editor?
Well, yeah, the consumer is, because what you have to do is find media that you like, and sometimes media you don't like, because you need to compare the different versions of a story. So I'll watch Fox News and I'll watch MSNBC, and you get two very different versions of the same story, and you need to figure out where the truth is in those stories. And sometimes you've got to go to original sources, which editors can do, but most consumers cannot. So the more you can consume, the better, because you'll get different viewpoints and you decide what you think is right. But that is the problem with technology now, which is you can fake people out really fast. You can see a fake story, you can see fake art, and it's very hard to tell what it is. And AI is going to make that tougher. At the same time, AI gives you access to more information, and that's good. You just want to be sure it's accurate information.
I saw the studios are investing in what they call I'm forgetting the name exactly. But essentially content that's consumable on your phone. Vertical content is what it's called, where they're going to be producing shows now, like 60-second soap operas for consumption. Isn't that funny? So they're actually moving off of the big TVs and spending millions of dollars, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, on developing original content that's consumable in short form on your phones. Like, it's just wild to me how it's changing. We face it here on terrestrial radio, right? Like, we'll come here and broadcast the show. I'll go make a clip criticizing Mike Johnston on the firing of Denver employees in light of spending $356 million on illegal immigrants. That gets 150,000 views. And I made it in 30 seconds.
Right. And you think a lot of people can go out and do that. They don't have the background that led them to that opinion. Yeah. They just have the opinion, and they're aping what someone else has said. And that's a concern. I mean, to really do journalism, to really look into issues, you take time. You prepare for this show. You talk to different people. Yeah. You also can run into someone who can throw up an opinion in 3 seconds flat, and maybe it's wrong.
Yeah. Lots of comments are that way. Well, Patricia Calhoun, editor-in-chief of Westword, founder of that magazine, is live in studio with us now. You want to do a phone call?
Sure.
All right, Gary, Denver. Gary, good morning. Gary, you're on with Jeff and Patricia.
Good morning, Jeff. Patricia, it's such an honor to talk to you.
Oh, well, thanks.
You and Peter are like the OGs of Denver. And, I wanted to ask you about a ballot issue, and that is Denver Vibrant Bonds. As far as I'm concerned, I think we need to send the city a message who have been poor stewards of our money and vote all of them down. But I know that there's a lot of money behind passing them, the bond daddies and the construction companies. I was wondering what your opinion was on those.
My opinion, which I'm working on, I haven't reported it yet. I mean, I will before the election, but you have to study it closely. And if you feel uncomfortable, don't vote for it. And bonds have gone down before. You might remember the last time we did a big bond issue, and all of them passed except for building another amphitheater out by National Western. That went down to replace why am I blanking? The Coliseum. So you really need to look at it and decide, do I believe the administration would be able to manage these projects, and these projects are good, and they're divided over 5 different areas. I think the one that probably will pass is the one that involves transportation, because people are really peeved about our roads and our infrastructure. But a lot of them, you need to look through and see what you think about it. And that's what I've said every time we try to spend our way out of trouble with bonds.
Yeah, Patty, on Channel 8, they're running the bond issues, and the opponents of it point out 3 things. The administrative costs, $50 million. The actual cost of the bond with interest will be doubled. It won't be $1 billion, it'll be $2 billion. Secondly, the cost of all the projects are grossly overstated. If you watch the city council meetings, they never broke down the costs, and many of the council people indicated that, but they went along and passed it anyway. So because of those 3 reasons, I don't care what the bonds are about. I'm sending a message to Denver. You're not good stewards of our money. Look what you did with homelessness, migrants. No to Vibrant Denver bond.
Yeah, I think the city could be surprised, because I do think there's a lot of opposition right now. People are concerned about how money has been spent, and they're worried about how this money would be spent.
And one last thing, Patty. Did you start is it New Jersey or Ohio?
I actually started a newspaper in New Jersey with friends the summer I graduated from college, gave that to one of the partners, and we came out and started Westword. So no Ohio, but Long Beach Island, New Jersey, I was there for a summer. The Sandpaper.
Yeah, my family and I, we used to vacation in Long Beach. I remember that from years ago when you mentioned that to Peter. So thanks for taking the call.
My pleasure.
Gary, thank you. I'll tell you, I'm a hard no on this Denver Vibrant bond. Don't live there, but as Gary pointed out, it's going to be twice as much, nearly $2 billion at the end of the day when this is all covered. And then you got stuff like $20 million for an American Indian cultural embassy. With all the stuff we're facing in Colorado, I'm not sure $20 million for an American Indian cultural embassy is necessarily the best thing to spend our money on.
That's actually an interesting one. And part of the problem is these are all lumped in together. So you can't just vote on one. Well, even though they're divided into 5 different areas, the Indian Center, the embassy, is part lumped in with others. That's an actually interesting project because it would bring in money. Unlike some of these other things, it is set up as an economic driver. So that, I think, is a good project. But I'm not sure I love the other ones in that same category.
Interesting. So Patricia may vote against it for other reasons than the American Indian Cultural Embassy. Whereas for me, I just go, really, if it's going to make money, then investors could build it. We've got a lot to cover. We're up against a break. Join the conversation. Give us a call at 303-696-1971 or text us on the Dan Caplis Law text line at 720-819-5115. By the way, did you see Dan's big settlement?
No.
$200 million.
What case?
He represented the family of the little girl that died in the Glenwood Springs adventure park accident. Where she didn't have the seatbelt on?
Right. I didn't realize that was Dan's, but that was a tragic case.
So here's what Dan discovered. This was wild. He found out through depositions that the company had trained its employees to turn off the alarms when the seatbelts weren't attached.
Wow.
Isn't that wild?
That's
so they
they
had a policy that trained their employees to bypass the alarms that were going off. That's why it's so punitive.
That's incredible.
Yeah, Dan Caplis discovered that, and in doing so, Dan is protecting the lives of all of us that take our kids to these places, because you shouldn't have companies with those types of workarounds. Dan Caplis Law, if you're hurt in an injury case, you need help, you need legal help, you got to call Dan Caplis. He's the son of a police officer and a former seminarian that has dedicated 40 years of his life to helping people who are hurt in serious motor vehicle crashes. Dan is believed to be the only lawyer in Colorado history to win 5 straight multi-million-dollar verdicts in Colorado crash cases. Dan is also believed to have won the largest truck crash verdict in Colorado state history. Dan Caplis Law is the official law firm partner of the Denver Nuggets and the Colorado Avalanche. Dan Caplis Law is a serious firm for serious cases. Dan accepts righteous injury cases on a percentage fee basis so that he can represent good people from all walks of life without regard to ability to pay. So if you need Dan's help, give him a call. Here's the phone number, 303-770-5551. 303-770-5551, or hit dancaplisLaw.com. That's Dan, C-A-P-L-I-S Law.com. We'll continue with your phone calls and texts. You're listening to The Jeff and Bill Show, News Talk 710, KNUS.
Wake up, Denver. There's no better place to start your morning than IHOP, where the pancakes are fluffy, the coffee is hot, and the smiles are endless. Wednesday, October 22nd, join Jeff and Bill as they broadcast their show live from IHOP at 9565 South University Boulevard in Highlands Ranch. You're officially invited to be part of the excitement. Come grab your favorite breakfast and watch the Jeff and Bill Show in action from 6 to 10 a.m. Don't forget to try the special Jeff and Bill breakfast. Pancakes, any style eggs, and crispy bacon, all for just $7.10. It's a deal as good as their hot takes. All they need is you. Bring your appetite, bring your friends, and kick off your day with great food and great conversation. See you Wednesday, October 22nd at IHOP.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the Jeff and Bill Show. Bill's out this week. Sitting live in studio with me is Patricia Calhoun, the founder and editor-in-chief of Westword, that alt-weekly, scandalous newspaper magazine out there. You had a piece on Alan Berg recently.
Well, I remember when Alan Berg was killed, and very few people seem to remember that being outspoken about your opinions, whether they're progressive, whether they're conservative, like Charlie Kirk, has been hazardous for a long time. And Alan Berg very popular talk radio host in Denver. Unusual profile of how he came up. He was selling suits. He owned a suit store in Denver. Lawyer, had moved here from Chicago. He was incredibly popular, late night show, and he was killed leaving his show, going to his home in central Denver in June, I think, of 1984. And I remember when it happened, not because we got it on social media or TV, cable TV, which barely existed. We got a call from someone's mother who heard about it on the radio, and she said, they're killing journalists. Well, as it turned out, this was very specifically an attack on Alan Berg, just like the attack on Charlie Kirk, but it's not new that people suffer for speaking out. The big difference is how now you can respond with the different forms of media, with all the social media, with how quickly word went out and how quickly people could organize here, well, across the country, around the world, over Charlie Kirk. But with Alan Berg, it took longer. It took a year, really, to find the killers in that case.
And who were they?
So that was The Order, a group, and an unbelievable reporting by Kevin Flynn from the Rocky Mountain News, now a city councilman. But definitely they didn't like Alan's outspoken support of Jews. He was Jewish. They didn't like his liberal policies, and they targeted him and killed him.
And I think for those of us that work in media, it's always kind of in the back of our mind, our safety with regards to this, especially when you put out something that people don't like. I've seen, we were just talking about Fox 31's meteorologist.
Right, exactly.
Having to deal with her stalker as well.
And we've had threats over the years. I have to say, generally, when you actually hear the threat, the odds are good you're going to be okay. People call up and they say things in the heat of the moment that we assume are just idle threats. In her case, she's been stalked. It's a horrifying situation. And I was just talking to you about Coles Whalen, a Colorado musician who was stalked by a fan, mostly online, social media. According to an Arapahoe County investigator, he made more than 1 million contacts with her. In that case, he was convicted of threatening her. Billy Counterman, he was convicted. It went all the way to the Supreme Court. He appealed, and by the time it went to the Supreme Court, he was out of jail. And the Supreme Court overturned the conviction because they said it wasn't threatening enough to violate he had free speech rights to threaten her. So this is coming up now in the Kylie Beers case. Kylie Beers.
Patricia Calhoun's live in studio with us. You want to take a phone call?
Sure.
Let's go to Tom in Denver. Tom, good morning. You're on with Jeff and Patricia.
Oh, good morning. Thank you. I have a question for Patricia. You had mentioned East Colfax in a prior topic you were talking about. And my question is, earlier in the year, there was a lot of coverage in the local media about the disruption to the businesses along Colfax from Broadway to like Monroe, when it was affecting the businesses, the construction of BRT in that strip. And now that the construction is going on, I think from Monroe to Quebec, I know that there must be a lot of disruption going on with the businesses there, but I'm not hearing anything about it in the media. Is it my imagination, or what's happening?
There is still coverage in our paper this week. We've got 2 letters about the Colfax construction. Part of it is the first shock, I think, over the year about how bad it was going to be for these businesses, for Tommy's Tie and for Middleman, which wound up closing, and for PS Lounge and Lion Slayer. I mean, we're discovering just how bad it was for them.
Right.
The area it's going into now is not as concentrated with a lot of those littler mom and pops, but it is still really bad. There is coverage. I think people have gotten a little more used to it, but that doesn't mean people shouldn't get out and support every single small business along Colfax that they love. Now is the time to go, because it is still tough for the ones at the start of the project, and it's getting tough for ones along the line now.
Yeah, I did enjoy your coverage earlier in the year. Just an aside, I forgot about this. I've been in Denver probably a little longer than you have. Am I remembering correctly, in the 70s, there was a local publication called the Straight Creek Journal?
There was. And
you remember that?
Yeah. In fact, it was there when we started. It wasn't free, which is one of the ironies. That was kind of a development that came in the late 70s. The papers started being free. You had to buy it in newsstands and in boxes, and that was hard to do in Denver. You know, it's not like you are getting off the train at Grand Central Station and going to a newsstand. But I was talking earlier, the Denver Press Club is having an event November 6th talking about alternative papers across Colorado. Straight Creek Journal, let's see, Medill Barnes was the publisher, Ron Wolf was the editor. They did some great investigative reporting, good cultural coverages. I think it started in '73, and it was an outgrowth of an underground paper called Chinook and Cake Eaters. And
wow.
Straight Creek Journal, I just had to research this a week ago, which is why I know. But they did some great work, and then other papers have come along through the years, like the Boulder Weekly and Colorado Springs Independent. So we're going to talk about those at the Press Club. It's open. It's free.
Great.
How do people register for that? Do they go to Denver Press Club? Something?
It better be on their website, but just go at 6 o'clock, Denver Press Club.
DenverPressClub.org.
Well, Patty, I have to give you a lot of credit for your longevity, your business acumen, and journalistic ability. So,
well, thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Tom, really appreciate the call. Tom from Denver, his line is now open. Give us a call at 303-696-1971. 303-696-1971. Should we go to Mike real quick or hold him over? Or let's go. All right, let's go to Mike in Denver. Good morning, Mike. You're on with Patricia.
Hi, Patricia. I know you're going to figure out who I am. I came to you with a big story about 19 years ago. And so I want to say thank you to Westword for so many years, because I was a gay rights advocate for many years. And Westword was always there for the gay community back when it wasn't popular. But I have my issues with the gay community now, and I'm no longer involved. But I just wanted to find out, where do you think the whole trans issue has impacted the gay community as far as moving forward, or has it caused backlash? I just wanted to see where you were kind of at.
Mike, I want to tell you, we were just talking about you because Kara DeGette, who had been the editor of the Colorado Springs Independent, and I were talking about the effect you had and all the religious groups and the stories, Ted Haggard stories down in Colorado Springs. So we've been talking about you. You are not forgotten.
Well,
I think
thank you.
The trans issue has been really tough for so many people. It's divided the gay community, but it's also, as we know, really affected politics. I had a fight with John Caldera here election night about how trans issues had really impacted the vote, not just in gay communities, but across the board. The issues about bathrooms, the issues about women's sports teams. And I think what's happened is it's taken the eye off the ball, because the real issue is getting equality in so many different ways for the gay and lesbian community. That was the original fight, to be treated fairly, to have your rights observed. And now the conversation has just gotten distracting. But we have to keep
Oh,
go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No,
where I have an issue with the trans issue is I fought for gay and lesbian rights for 30 years. For 30 years. And then all of a sudden the trans issue comes up, and I feel like they hooked their star on my wagon, and that's not what I was fighting for. And so I have a hard time. I have good friends that are trans. I've had trans friends commit suicide, but I have a hard time including them in the gay and lesbian movement.
It's definitely been a challenge because there are different issues involved.
But I also think there's a logical challenge, right? The LGB side has argued that they were born this way, and then the T argues, well, your gender can change on a daily basis.
Right. So I have big issues with it.
So I understand. Well, Mike, I sure appreciate your phone call. Mike from Denver. Give us a call, 303-696-1971. You're listening to the Jeff and Bill Show with Patricia Calhoun of Denver, sitting in for Bill Thorpe. You're listening to Jeff and Bill, 710 KNUS.